Hello and welcome back to another episode of Journey to Success, the podcast of the Black Business Alliance. I'm here for another session today with James C. Nicholas, and I'm thrilled to have you joining us today. How's everything going?
Thank you. It's been a great day. Thank you.
I appreciate you. You know, we spent some time last time talking about launching a business. This time, I really want us to focus on next level moves. So how do you scale with intention and integrity? So this again is going to be, it's like another 30 minutes hot seat, because I'm going to be pulling out some questions to really make you think about how we get our businesses to that next level. Cool. So we're going to start with, what are the signs that a business is ready or not ready to scale?
Okay. Scaling usually happens after a business has gone through stages: the idea stage, the growth stage, and then scale. You can't scale until you grow. So we want to start with looking at the growth. Here's now where a company has now begun to overcome obstacles. They're now aware of what the market needs are. They begin to look at their personnel needs, and they also understand how have they positioned their business or product in the marketplace. And then there's the branding. So now we're looking at a company that has we've gone from all the work we've done with this idea, we've got the problem solved, we now think we have a solution, and the business is starting to grow. Now, what are some of the obstacles in making the business grow? Those obstacles are, have we evaluated properly what is the market opportunity? What is the growth of the market? What is the scale of them? What's the geographical positioning? Do we have a plan, if we will, to offset any thrust from our competitors? What do we understand the economics of the business, as well as the general global economics, and what is going to be the impact of the company? So we're now starting to become much more sophisticated in how we look at a problem. Before, as an entrepreneur, we did many things by ourselves. Now we're at the growth stage. We know that we have to bring people in to help us organizationally, either in human resources, in accounting, marketing, and even helping us to refine the product, because the product that we started with is not the product that's going to help us grow. So we have to be prepared to say, how do we tweak the product? What are the needs of the market? Are we cognizant of what our customers are saying, or our distributors, if you will, or the people who are selling the product? And what kind of sales channel have we set forth? Those are some of the things that I think is important as we look at the growth stage. From there, we're now going to scale. We've now gone to a point where we got a business that's running. A growth is not necessarily a numerical number. It just shows that you're going from point A and you have an upward trajectory. So now that trajectory, we don't know how far that trajectory is. You can have growth based on how many widgets you sell, not necessarily the numbers that it brings in. As we start to scale, we realize that this business has gone to such a stage, it's beyond the capability of one or two people to be able to manage and make it run.
So I'm gonna.
You can bring me back.
No, not necessarily bringing you back, but it's just kind of, I want to bring us back around to, so let's say I've done what you said, I've launched the business, we've been in business for some time.
It's
not necessarily an age of a business, right, for scaling. We've been in business for some time. We're seeing ourselves constantly going up in the business, and we feel like we're ready to scale. What markers am I looking for in my business to say, okay, I'm now moving through growth to scaling?
Okay. We have to take a look at what are our capital needs. As you scale, you have to recognize that your costs, your capital, your cash flow becomes the most important thing. Not profitability, but cash flow. Do you have the ability to help the company maintain itself and grow? And because scaling is the process of saying we're now doing something 5 times what we did before, or 10 times. That's a scale. The scale is not 5 to 6. is it's a multiple of something.
Okay.
So that may mean that it's your P&L, it's your ability to look at your assets. Is that strong enough for you to go to the bank so that you can generate? Remember when we started with the idea stage, we were trying to get capital, but now we're established. But now we still have to fight with others to get a scarce resource, which is capital. Are we strong enough? Does our balance sheet, is it in such a stage that when the banks or any financial institution looks at our business, they're saying, we feel comfortable with this business. They've been able to manage their assets, they've minimized their liabilities, and they have a good cash flow. But we know that they need extra money because they have this huge order waiting for them, and they don't have enough cash in order to make it happen. So one of the things that we like to do and look at this scaling, and I look at a company, I said, okay, I like to use a bottoms-up approach, i.e. most people use a top-down approach. I said, okay, here's your bottom. How much money do you want to make? And then I say, okay, now let's multiply by 10. How you act versus where you are now versus where you are 10 times that level is different. The business plan has to be altered for you to now move up the ladder to get 10 times what you wanted to do, and now you know what your revenue should be.
That's right.
So that becomes challenging because usually companies just look at, and too many times you hear even companies that's doing well, I have good profitability, but they're about to go bankrupt.
Right.
Because the cash flow becomes important. Now, how do you work within this framework? As a scaler, many times you might have to bring in outside people, not necessarily your friends, people who are skilled in that particular industry or have access to the capital you need to join your firm, and you have to decide how much of your business are you willing to give up. That becomes the challenge, and a lot of owners have sleepless nights with the thought that they have to give up a piece of their business.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's significant. But if they were to understand their business, they knew how to structure, if they work with skilled coaches, if you will, they could structure that business so they could give up some now and retain later down the road.
Okay.
So that's all part of the skill, if you will, from a capital standpoint.
Okay.
But the other thing is important in the fact that you're bringing in an outside person is that person is bringing in additional resources other than capital. He may be bringing in resources such as market, access to markets that you cannot reach,
Okay.
either geographically or financially. Or he may be able to get you better deals on the equipment that you need now in order to minimize your costs. So you're always looking at how do I maximize revenue and minimize costs. So at the same time, recognizing that the piece of the business that I'm giving away now, if everything works out, will be worth far more than if I had 100% of the piece I just gave away.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we talked about mindset. That now we're really talking about mindset, because now we have to think differently about how we're going to make our business work.
Interesting. So the launch mindset is one mindset. The scaling mindset is a different type of mindset.
And
So
the growth is a different, all the way
so
through.
What additional things are key components in that scaling mindset?
Well, number one, am I willing to give up part of my business? Remember, this business is my business that I've worked with for 20 years. And I had intentions maybe of passing it along from a legacy standpoint. And now I find out that my son doesn't care about this business. He prefers to play soccer.
Right.
Okay? So now I have to say, how can I make sure that this business that I have babied for 20 years will continue to be in existence? And to whom should I pass it along?
Right.
It's not necessarily the person that's going to give us the most money or take the least amount of equity. So we have to take that mindset. Those are questions that you have to talk with, but you can't do them by yourself. You have to work with someone who's skilled, who can talk you through that. Some sort of even a spiritual or wealth, health. I like to to tie the health and wealth
Health and
together.
wealth together. Yes, absolutely.
That person will help you make that transition and reduce your level of anxiety because, you know, I walked in the room with this thing was 100%. I'm walking out of this room with something and where I may only have 60%. But when you do the arithmetic, you will find out that your 60% that you have now is greater.
Has more value.
Now, the other thing, if you take a look at the market, we have a tendency to talk about big lumps, but you know, the big corporations can control these huge $1 trillion, only less than 10% of equity. But it's how you structure your map because now you bring it in a management team. Before you didn't worry so much about it. You may have had a little advisory board but you really didn't have what we consider a team, a true management team. So now you're going to bring, and they will say things that you may not agree with.
Wow.
And then this is where the disagreement causes dislocation, if you will. And then you have to have a program in which you can say from a scaling standpoint, how do I get out of this deal? You know, what's the sunset on the deal? We've got a sunrise and we're happy, but how about the sunset? What do we do? Have we thought through this whole process to recognize that nothing is forever?
No, I hear you talking about the expansion of the business plan, the consideration of bringing in more capital, the right partnerships. Again, it all goes back down to the necessity for that business plan. So can you share a story maybe of a business that was scaling that really taught either you, or maybe you and or the owner, a lesson, a hard lesson?
I'm aware of a business, and I will not.
No.
And
No
that made
details.
widgets. And the owner was very comfortable with the level of his business. It was moving along smoothly. He had enough skills. He or she had enough skills. And there was a husband-wife team. They had enough skills, so they were able to overcome the problems. They were able to generate the cash. And then they started going to the next level, which become something that was beyond their level of understanding expertise. Now they're talking about different governmental and tax requirements, things that they never had to worry about before because as their business began to grow. So they thought that, okay, I'm selling a lot of products. I'm very happy with this side. I feel comfortable here. And then all of a sudden, they woke up and saw the fact that the market made a big downward turn. Now, all of a sudden, they had received capital for a large order. That large order now has been canceled. And they had prepared for this with, if you will, the capital needed, bringing on extra management teams, etc. So now they had the issue of saying, we've never had to lay off anyone before. We've always been able to work through the process. People like me, my employees like me, I've always done well by them. However, we are now in a situation where I have to make some hard decisions with respect to my human resources. Do I reduce the amount of human resources, or do I try to keep everyone and cut, if you will? A lot of the people who worked in this particular business, they depended on that payday every Friday. It's not like once a month. Every Friday they depended because of the type of work that they also had to pay their suppliers. They always played a net 30 with their suppliers. Now we have to do cash management where we have to take that net 30 to maybe net 45. Now all of a sudden, I am starting to see my ship begin to wobble a little bit. I'm getting calls that I never used to get. My employees coming in crying, very upset about what is happening, and I'm trying to, the company was trying to say, we're trying to do the best we can. I am even taking, if you will, a hit. Remember, as as a manager, my salary, if you will, is based on retained earnings.
Right.
So if there's no retained earnings from the business, I get nothing. I'm basically working for. So I'm willing to do that so I can continue to make the business go. But then all of a sudden, on top of that, we had an economic crisis. So now we got hit twice. We got hit from the market, and then from the economy, and then the business began to float. And now you're in a position where you could not, your balance sheet now went upside down. And now you're in a position where the banks used to call you all the time asking you, hey, come on, and to give you money. Now they would not return your calls. So now all of a sudden, you're in a position where the business going out. Now you begin to look outside of the business to see if there's someone there who can come take over the business for you.
Wow.
And that's where you have people who kind of lurk in the shadows and looking for businesses that are going under, and then they step in kind of, it's the knight in shining armor.
Wow.
So that's kind of a...
That is a hard one. That's hard lessons. And some of that, I mean, that happened wasn't in anybody's control.
No.
I think sometimes when you're scaling, you can move too fast, and then some of the mistakes that you move are because you're moving too fast. Some of those things, like a change in the economy, the contract being canceled, it's not really in your control, but you've planned for those things. So then you've had to make a lot of shifts. So what systems should be in place, must be in place before taking on more customers or more clients?
Okay. First of all, you want to make sure the stability of your customer base.
Okay.
You want to make sure, you also want to understand the market better.
Yeah.
I mean, your customer is one thing, the market is another. Just think about all those people who sold typewriters, right?
Yeah.
Not too many around. Right? So you have to understand what are the new products that might come into the market. Because before, depending on the type of the product, you have what we call a product life cycle. Where is your product on this product life cycle? And recognize right now, we used to have 30-year product life cycles. Your product life cycle could be less than 2 years. So you have to understand, so you have to be abreast and current of all the things in the marketplace. It's very important for you to talk, if you will, to your customers to understand what are their needs, where they want to go, and what do you need to satisfy them.
So the system there is kind of like that feedback loop, that you have a way of constantly staying in touch with your customers, hearing back from them, and then you make adjustments based on what you're learning. I'm surprised I didn't hear you talk about financial systems. What financial systems need to be in place before you even consider taking on more customers?
Okay. Number one, you have to make sure that you have a positive cash flow. You also make sure that your balance sheet is good. That your assets, if you will, even though they come even, that you have the assets, strong assets.
Right.
You also have to say, what is your level of liquidity? So all of your assets are not necessarily liquid. Some of them you have assets on the book,
right.
but you can't turn those assets into dollars.
Right.
So you have to look at the liquidity, if you will, of your assets. You have to look at, the other thing is look at the stability of your client financially. Now, if you've had a client that you've been working with forever, they paid their bills, and all of a sudden you start seeing that it's taking longer and longer to pay, then you have to go to the client and say, hey, what's the problem? And maybe I have to cut back on what we give you until you get caught up, etc. So, no, what you said is very, very important. You have to look very carefully at your financial statements. You also have to be able to make adjustments, if you will, to your projections.
Okay.
Even though you projected that you're going to make X in year 2, you may have to say we're going to make X minus because of the change, if you will, in the market. That means that everything down that line changes, from employees, the types of your ordering, supplies that you buy, if you will, the amount that you're investing in things. Plus, you also want to make sure that you are able to properly train your employees, that you're willing to invest in your employees and support. You're investing in your company and your equipment, but you also have to have technical investments in your employees.
I love that you said that, and that's an important thing to kind of stick a pin in that for folks to understand that you do budget for and have an intention to be able to invest in your employees as that's a part of that growth strategy. So how do entrepreneurs avoid going broke from expanding without the cash flow? And I know we keep seeing this. It's like I'm ready to go to that next stage, but there's not a full understanding of cash flow. How do we keep entrepreneurs from going broke?
Okay. First of all, they have to make certain that they have competent people who's responsible for the head of their financial division. The owner is not necessarily the person who is trained, if you will, in financial projections and stuff. He sees he gets the reports, he looks at them and throws them away. He doesn't understand what went into the report. So he has to have a management system where there is constant communication between the finance, the operations, if you will, and a person who's looking out, if you will, from a strategic standpoint. Number one, so you have to have what we call an early warning system. So that's one of the things that helps, because that tells you, hey, you need to pull back.
Pull back, yep.
Now, one of the things that we used to find out that at a company that's in the trucking industry, they could tell what was going on from an economic standpoint as they did their projections based on their order board. In other words, they could see that you could be in an economic slump. They could determine when you're going to come out of that economic slump.
Wow.
And then they're already preparing the factory for that, or vice versa.
Okay.
So they may be running high, but they can see the signals here. They can see the turbulence down here. And so they begin to pull back before it actually happens. So that's the early warning system that's important.
I love that. And I think it's important, again, to just note that the founder sometimes is not the person with the level of expertise around the financials, and that's okay. You need to understand your financials, but get the assistance that you need to fully understand the impact of your financials as you scale.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Can you help us understand how a founder's role shifts or changes during the scaling?
Oh, sure. Prior to the scaling, to the growth process, the founder was intimately involved. This is what he remembered. He grew this business. It was his idea, and he wants to still meddle with it. Mm-hmm. Now he's bringing in people who have more skills, technical skills than he did, and he didn't want them. He's still in the pie. Now, just like your cupcakes, you need to say, Jim, you're not getting in my kitchen, right? You stay away. So, but from that standpoint, the founder should be looking at where is the business going to be 5 years from now, not where it is now.
Okay.
So he needs to have an operational person who looks at the business now,
Okay.
while he begins to scope out all of these things that we talk about that might occur. That's what the founder should be looking at. He should be the person that would be, if you will, the voice or the face of the organization. And he should be the person that the banks have confidence in, that if there's a hiccup, he has an organization behind him that will help overcome it.
Oh, that's great. That's good. So what mistakes have you seen businesses make during scaling, as they're scaling? What kinds of things stick out for you?
From a scaling standpoint, some of the mistakes are they tend to try to go too fast. We're talking about something that's going sequentially, not sequentially, but it's doing exponentially. But you don't have to necessarily do 10 when 5 would work for right now. Then you do, at that stage, you see where everything gets worked out, and then you move on to the next stage of 5. So overreach is sometimes a problem with some of the scaling things. Lack of ability to bring on qualified people to run the organization. Not having a board of directors that has different or multiple skill sets. We don't want to have someone all in one. Multiple skill sets. And the ability to let go. To let go and let someone else carry the burden while you do the things that you should be doing.
In that new kind of shift and new level in
Correct.
your founder's role. That's interesting. I really love that. So part of expanding for some businesses is expansion is about going into new markets. What mistakes have you seen people make when they're working on expanding into a new market?
Lack of understanding what is the market. What is their target market? What is the size? There's a lot of misunderstanding and miscalculation of the size of the market. Everyone thinks the market is bigger than what it is. Sometimes it's better to have 100% of a smaller piece than 100 or 1% of a bigger one.
Right.
So you need to understand what is the size of the market opportunity. Then you need to be able to say, how do I capture my piece? What is going to be my role within that marketplace? Am I going to be a technology leader, or am I going to be a follower? That makes a big difference in how you do your marketing. The other thing that you would have to do that is we're saying, what is the problem, right?
Right. When expanding into new
Okay,
markets.
and then the other issue would be the fact is that being able to pounce. I was trying to find a better word to pounce, but be able to grasp the opportunity in a timely way, in a timely manner. You can see the opportunity there, but if you're late in getting there, then there's no longer an opportunity.
Okay.
So that's where the founder should have his people abreast, and he should be laying these out. He should be laying out these principles to his team. This is what we want to be. If we're going to be market movers, market leaders, this is how we have to act.
Oh, that's good. So what role, I think this is probably our last question, but what role does strategy play in sustainable versus explosive growth?
Now you ask me a question that I have to ask. What is the definition of? No,
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just teasing you a little bit. But sustainable is one that you're working here a little bit. So you lay out the strategies based on not taking risks, not being the first person out of the box.
Right.
So you're going to be a me too, if you will. You're going to have safe customers. You're not willing to open up your pricing in a way where you may be taking on some customers that may have AAA credit.
Wow.
So now all of a sudden you're going to stick with that and grow with the growth of the market. Now if the market doesn't grow, then you're going to go down because you're growing with the market.
Yes.
And so that's the sustainable. The explosive growth is where you have a strategy of, we're going to be the first ones out. We're going to come out with the new products. We're going to do the initial beta testing. We're going to be 2 or 3, depending on the time frame of each market, ahead of each of our ahead. We're going to work with our suppliers together to develop products. In other words, we're going to now engage our suppliers in the process, almost making them part of the organization.
Okay.
So that means that you're going to have an opportunity for growth, and secondly, you're going to be able to reduce your costs because now you know what your cost structure is. Now you're also going to take advantage of today all of the AI and all of the latest innovations that will help you in scoping the market, and you're going to do a lot of what if in the market, in your strategy development. You're not just going to go on the one product. You're going to ask yourself some hard, piercing questions about where the business should be. And then lastly, you're going to say, we've done all this now. What do I need to do to take me and improve my profitability by 10% or reduce or increase my cash flow by 10%? What are the things that I need to do? So it's all these are what if questions.
Yes.
That a lot of times don't get, because in the process of doing all of the operations, you don't have time to think about what ifs. But that's your dog. That is your, if you stop meddling with the operation and do what you're supposed to do as the founder, then you can have explosive growth.
That's fantastic. So I hope that those who are listening in today have the opportunity to really pull out some of those nuggets that you've given to really help us move while we're scaling with intention and integrity. So thank you so much for your time, Jim, and all of that you put into this episode today. Thank you all for listening in and joining us today.